morning. Good morning. And welcome to 14 Days of Mental Repositioning. I'm your host, Rabbi. Let's go there with that. Welcome again. Welcome. I mean, if you're someone who has gone through every single day of mental repositioning, I hear you. Because, that just shows how consistent, and maybe how intentional, let me use that word, how intentional you are taking this. All right. Okay. So, I think my video is not set yet. I don't want you guys to see how. Okay, let me just leave. Thinking I should. Let me leave that. There. All right. So, good morning. We're looking at another topic today, and it's been a real journey so far. Quite a number of things have been spoken of. I just remember I was going through some of the things we've done before, some of the things we've discussed, or remembering them. And I'm thinking, oh, Timothy, that was something. And I'm feeling like I need to go back to these things as well. Because there's a tendency, yeah, there's a tendency. And I can assure you that the things that I mentioned to you aren't just surefire knowledge. They are things that, they are mindsets that I've worked with over the years. And they work, right? But definitely, there's always a better way to get things done. So, there's one thing I would want to do is to get back to them, work on it, do what I need to do, and eventually just get better, right? Because the most important thing is your willingness and desire to keep making progress, right? To keep making progress. And if that's the way you think, I can assure you that you're more likely to maintain success than and the average person. So just that consciousness that there is more, that you can be better. That's majorly what you need. You need to be conscious, aware of that hey, Timothy, there is more. There is more. There's always more. There is more that you can be. There is more that you can do. There is much more. So do not stay where you are. There is always more, right? I always tell myself that there is always more. There's always more. If you reach a point where you're satisfied with what you do, you've started going down, because you must live life as a lifelong learner, right? You're not just learning for the moment, or because you're done with college, or that's the end of studying. No, that's not it. Education equips you with the ability to source out knowledge, to be able to know where to get these things from, right? So what do we have today? We have something very special, and our topic here is think marathon, not sprint. I can assure you, I'm not an athlete. I think the last time I engaged in a race was in like a proper race. I was in primary school. Yeah, primary school. So I'm not an athlete. But then there are just some things. One thing that helps me so much is when I get to use natural concepts or the things we see every day, and use them as an example for how I can do things better, right? And this is one of such concepts. So think marathon, not sprint. Think marathon, not sprint. I'm sure you're familiar with the difference between a marathon race and a sprint. Perhaps you're not. I'll help you. So a marathon race is a race that covers miles, 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 and there are there are athletes who train for that. It covers miles, a long distance. So you're just seeing some people run. And then the sprint is a race that just covers a short distance, right? It's a sprint. You can have like a 100-meter dash, or just it's a short distance race. So it's really a test of speed. The difference between these two things is the first isn't a test of strength or a test of speed at all. It's a test of endurance. it's a test of strength, while the second is a test of speed. So imagine if you take someone who has trained for a marathon race and another person who has trained for a sprint, and both of them are running a marathon race. You obviously know who is going to end up winning. The sprint guy who thinks, oh, it's about speed, I must cover this distance in a short time. Now he begins to run, he begins to run, he begins to run. And then he's actually getting he's kept a distance, a very large gap between him and the guy who is running a marathon. The guy who is running a marathon knows that, okay, this is a long life thing. Let's not take it too fast. It's a test of endurance. So you keep the pace, you're going. The guy is going. And everyone thinks, oh, this guy is so slow. Everyone's going, he's going, he's going, he's going. It gets to a time, the guy who is the sprint guy is becoming, he's noticing that his strength is failing him and he still has about 3 kilometers to cover. And he's beginning to faint, he's beginning to get tired. He's seen that he has kept a huge distance. So what does he feel? Okay, let me rest a bit. He rests a bit and he forgets his race. And I'm sure you're familiar with what I'm telling you. The story of the tortoise and the hare. So the guy who the hare begins to jump fast, but the tortoise is going slowly and steadily. So it's a test of endurance, not strength. And then when you realize this, that's exactly how your journey through life will be. It's not a sprint. The journey through life is not a sprint. It's not a quick get thing. It's not a quick get scheme. You'll be here for years. You'll be here for a long time. So the decisions that you make in the moment must be from a perspective that understands that life is a marathon race, not a sprint. It's not a 100-meter dash. Because you see, that's how a lot of people live their lives. You want to get things now and fast. So no process, like you're cutting off a lot of processes amidst things. And guess what? If you have products that have skipped some processes, it will tell when you begin to use such products. They may look like the original, they may feel like the original. As a matter of fact, they may be as pricey as the original, but if some processes were skipped in the usage, it will tell. So you see some people who in their adult life, because or maybe in some moments forward, some things begin to review themselves. It's because in the process of time, some stages and processes have been cut off. So when you begin to think that life is a marathon, not a sprint, you would calm down. You reevaluate your decisions, your actions, your choices, and you would actually think long term. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're thinking not just in the now, you're thinking long term. Every decision you're making is just like you're playing chess. So you're not just looking at the pawn that's right in front of you to capture. You're thinking, if I capture this pawn, do I endanger my pawn? All right, if I move this way, do I expose my king? Do I expose my territory? So you're not just looking at, oh, I can capture this guy. You go capture. What happens? The guy makes 10 moves and then you're gone. It's a checkmate. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. So one of the things, one of the advantage that guides a marathon race, it's not strength. Sorry, it's not speed, but strength and endurance. Your ability to endure, your ability to stay through, your ability to keep it going, to keep that pace. Even though you begin to feel the pains right here on your lower abdomen, you begin to feel your breath, your lungs, expanding so much. You begin to feel cold in your nose, your nostrils, everything. You're feeling your head is, but then that ability to endure through, the ability to go through, that's exactly what the marathon race is about. So the advantage of the marathon is not speed, but strength. It is strength, and that's the thing about life. It is not always the fastest people that win the race. That's what Solomon was trying to tell you in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 4, I think 4, verse 9. It's not the fastest people that win the race. It's not the smartest people that get the best things in life. Not at all. It says the race is not to the swift. No, he says it's not to the swift. It's not the one who is so fast that wins the race. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm so intelligent, I know how to get things done. Listen, it says time and chance happen to them all. I've seen graduates. I was speaking to a guy some days ago. I've seen graduates who are nowhere to go, who are nowhere. I've seen people who were so smart, so intelligent, but then right now they look nothing like where they were coming from. People who came out from very royal and wealthy families, but right now are the least of all men. So it's not about all those things. It's your there's a mental disposition that you must have that ensures that as you journey through, you are making consistent advancement. And then one of the things that I'm going to share with you is to help you understand that success, right? Success is not, it's not merely an event. You know, when you think about success, you're imagining, oh, a day where you get this, a day where maybe you have this event. A success is not merely an event. It's a state. It's a state. And what ensures that you remain in this state of success is this ability to think marathon, not sprint. Every successful person you see today he wasn't thinking in 10 years before who they are right now, or when they started off. They were looking nothing like where they were coming from. But then they did not stop there. They weren't looking at the now. They were looking at what you are seeing now. So what you are seeing now, they had seen before. And that's exactly how the marathon racer thinks. So his mind is fixed, right, on the goal, is fixed on that line at the end. His mind is fixed there. And he knows that though the journey may take a while, but he will surely get there if he keeps his focus and if he keeps his strength, keeps his endurance. So athletes who run in a marathon race, they prepare for it years, before the Olympics. They prepare for it years. You see them even simulating more strenuous processes. They run farther distance than the distance they will cover in the Olympics. They run farther distances. They go, they keep jogging. You see them wake up every morning and they're jogging around, and they're jogging long kilometers, sometimes walking briskly. They're trying to like bring yourself into that life. And I find this very important. And it's beginning to make more sense to me. If you're thinking that when you get to the future, you all of a sudden be that kind of person who is disciplined, who is knowledgeable, that kind of person who understands what to do. If you're thinking like that, you are wrong. If you're thinking that, okay, there's going to come, it's just like a day and night, you will just switch and become a new person. It doesn't work that way, because the athlete did not become a marathon racer on the day of Olympics, but has been practicing that years before. He has forced his body, he has trained, let me use the word, trained his body, trained his system, trained his psychology to understand the dynamics of that race. So if you're preparing for success, preparing for a great life, or you're looking at great men and women and you're thinking, okay, I want to be like that person, I'm going to be like this person someday. You don't want to imagine what processes they have gone through. You don't want to imagine what kind of developments they have subjected themselves to that makes it possible for them to handle the weights of that greatness. I tell you, greatness is heavy. A lot of people just want to be quick and run into greatness, praying to God to escalate or expose them, to elevate them, or just looking for opportunities, doors to open to them. See, you do not want to carry a burden you cannot bear. Greatness is heavy. It is heavy. How do I know? I've been around it. I've seen it closely. I've seen it very up close. I live with it. So I know that it's heavy. So myself now, I'm thinking, what are the things that I will put in place that make sure that as I'm rising in the ladder of greatness, I would not cower, I would not bend, I would not compromise, I would not break down. It is this mindset of long term. Even people who you are seeing as great people do not consider themselves as such. There's still more that they see ahead. The finish line is not what you are seeing. You are seeing that, oh, they've arrived. They are seeing that they are still running. That's what is keeping them. But then you see some people who rise today quickly, they quickly rise, and what happened? They quickly fall. They appear so soon, they disappear too soon. So it's because you must learn to simulate a life of greatness, simulate the lifestyle of great people, and that in itself is what takes you to greatness. The scripture that says that they that know their God shall be strong and shall do exploit. Think about that statement. They become Strong. They that do know their God shall be strong and shall do exploits. So you become before you do. So you must become, like, that ability to simulate a lifestyle of a great person is what actually takes you to greatness. So all those disciplines that you're running away from, those corrections, those attitudes, those practices and habits that you're failing to build, it's not going to jump on your laps all of a sudden. You don't read books, you say, oh, you're not a reader, and you're thinking that all of a sudden, when those time comes, when you're a CEO, then you start reading. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So you must learn to simulate that lifestyle of greatness, simulate what it looks like, simulate it in your own day-to-day life. Look at how it works. How can you enforce discipline? How can you enforce the habit of focus? How can you be visionary? You have something in mind to do and you get to do it. How can you simulate that lifestyle of greatness? That is what you're thinking about. And this is the mindset that sponsors greatness. Thinking marathon. Thinking marathon. One who cannot see beyond his nose cannot remain in success. Somebody who is very obsessed with the moment, who is obsessed, a little win, you've gone for a party, you've thrown a big party. Someone who is so obsessed with present, what do I call it now? Present accolades. You can't go far. That's certain, very certain. There are people who have risen and then without preparation, they disappeared immediately. Or when things began to happen, when the spotlight came upon them, it's the instead of the spotlight to radiate them, it burnt them. So you want to learn to embrace, step into it, begin to imagine yourself in it, those day-to-day lifestyles. Watch some videos, check their biographies, read about the sacrifices they were making, read about them. I've gotten to, I was privileged to read my dad's birthday was there were 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and I was privileged to read his biography. I was the one who sought out those ones. I sat with him. I'd known some of these things. I sat with him and just began to ask him some questions, and I was taking notes, and then I went back, typed a number of things, then had it expanded, and it just jumped out to me that, see, it's not a surprise that he's where he is today. It's not. And the same thing goes to every other person. It is Bishop Oedipo who says that the secret of men are in their stories. When you get to hear the stories of great, authentic men and women, check it. You'll see processes, you'll see stages. So, young people who want to just become successful overnight, it's not going to work. If you do eventually, if you do not begin to learn the proper way, you're going to come back down, right? So you must learn to wait. Learn to wait. Spend more time building yourself than fantasizing on success. Spend more time. One of the best things the Lord has told me was that invest in yourself. Investing in yourself pays the highest returns. Investment in self, it holds the highest ROI. Invest in yourself. Rather than fantasize on the glamour, fantasize on the fame, fantasize on how much money you begin to command, fantasize on how much influence you begin to express. Why not pay attention to developing yourself? Look for areas of weaknesses. Don't just pride yourself in your strengths. No, look for those areas where you are still falling short and figure out ways, find out how. You must learn to wait. Learn to wait. Learn to wait. I'm sure if you're a Christian, you must be familiar with this statement. It says, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They that wait. So it's funny because people want to get up and go, but then he's saying the secret is in waiting. Your ability to sit down. Jesus says the same thing in Luke 14, verse 28. He that will build a tower must first sit down. Sit down. Now, this is it. Sit down. Think long term. Not if he's able to start, if he's able to finish. Think long term. Think beyond the now. Think beyond your nose, beyond you. Think long term. Don't just be engulfed with the desire, don't just be engulfed with you wanting to satisfy every craving that you have. So now maybe somebody who is working now and he has a job, maybe paying 500,000 naira, and he has an accommodation. All of a sudden, some miracle happens, and then he's promoted. Now he's earning 1 million naira. An average person says, okay, now I'm earning it, so let me spend more. But then someone who is thinking long term thinks that my income increases doesn't mean my expenses should also increase. What can I? This is just an opportunity. I must learn to live in the means. I was living within the means of 500k, and I was all right. So it means that what can I do with the remaining? Can I save those things, invest them, thinking long term? You see, some people who want to learn some skills right now, they're thinking of how we can pay them down, and they're not learning that. See, there's something called compound. Let me not even go into all those things. All right, so spend more time building yourself. Spend more time building yourself. How? Build yourself spiritually. Build yourself spiritually. Spend more time. There are some. Life is spiritual. Life is spiritual. Very spiritual. Life is spiritual. And if you do not learn to build spiritual strength, I tell you the honest truth, in no time you're going to disappear. And even if you don't, you struggle with many things internally. There's some things that would confront you that if you had an understanding of spiritual principles, in a moment you solve those things. But then if you are ignorant of spirituality, you will pay for it in big time. Big time. Big time. This talks nothing about you being a pastor. It talks about you being a son who is conversant, who understands spiritual things. Who understands? You build yourself in prayer, build yourself in the word. You build yourself, build yourself. Don't stay fallow. Don't stay, don't stay, don't stay, don't stay ignorant. Know what you're doing. Build spiritual strength. Because when it all boils down to it, it is the spiritual that controls the physical. It's not the other way around. It is what has been enforced in the spirit that manifests itself in the physical. So build spiritual strength. I want you to echo that to yourself. Build spiritual strength. Build yourself spiritually. You are the kind of person that they're still forcing you to go to church. You're the kind of person who your parents are still the one praying for you. And so my mom will pray for me at the age of 25. Hold on. So if your mom didn't develop herself, would you have a mom who prays for you? So what's the hope of your own children? Would they have a father or a mom who prays for them? So start building strength. The second thing is to build yourself intellectually. Build yourself. Let people have a conversation with you and let them leave with questions. Like, wow. Let them leave with answers and also questions. Or let me say a thirst to know more. Like they leave challenged. Oh my God, I think I need to learn more about this. Sometimes you have conversation with people and you just go, why are you talking like this? What's going on? Be a lifelong learner. Learn about anything. And I mean, be strategic about your learning. Learn about important stuff. Know things. Know things. Know how to. Know where to. Understand. Give yourself. Build your mindset. Build your mindset. So that you can have conversations with any kind of person. There's some of this. You might be knowledgeable in some aspects. You can be able to have conversations with children, and you will do that very well. But you might not be able to have conversations with adults. Be able to have, like, you can talk to an elderly person and have a very long conversation. That tells a lot about your intellect. So build yourself financially. This is so important. It's the book The Richest Man in Babylon, and the first pages that states that wealth, money, is a metric of success in this world. So it's not the crux of it, but then it's necessary because when you're not financially stable, you affect a number of other things. So when you're in your finances, build yourself, invest in knowledge. Don't just seek to have money, seek to have financial knowledge. Educate yourself financially. Understand how money works. Understand the principles of saving, investment. Understand the things that govern wealth building. Not just you wanting to have money for food, for shawarma and all the likes. Build yourself financially. Build stamina financially. Build yourself financially. Expose yourself to opportunities that help you understand how to manage your finances. Build yourself financially. Then also build yourself emotionally. Emotionally. You know, you can have people who in themselves they can be very nice, well-to-do persons, but then having serious issues with relationships, maybe even in marriage, especially in marriage, having serious issues in marriage, and you're wondering, well, this person is a successful man of God. This person might be is a very veteran in the business space, a business mogul. This person might be a outstanding professor, but then they're finding it has a huge struggle in their relationships. See, if you do not learn to manage emotions, learn to build yourself, build your EQ, your emotional intelligence, you will struggle, right? You will. You will. What does this talk about? It talks about checking through insecurities, checking through your emotions and knowing how to manage some things, your responses, how you feel about certain things, learning and mastering your emotions. How can you do this? Go after original truth. Check through, am I responding to situations because of the bias that I have as a result of my background? Or what is happening? Understand yourself and build yourself emotionally. And also, importantly, build yourself physically. Spend more time building yourself physically. This talks about your health. If you're thinking marathon and not long term, you be careful with how you use your body. Yes, you will. You'll be careful with how you use your body. You'll be careful with how you manage your health. You'll be careful with what you do with your body. You will. I tell you the honest truth. You will. You'll be careful with what you're eating, the kind of lifestyle you're adopting, because this is the same body that you will have when you're 60. Imagine you are going to use a vehicle for 60 years. Now imagine the first day you buy it. Imagine you're going to use that vehicle for 60 years. How are you going to treat that vehicle? So it's not like you're going to use it for 10 years, I'll be done with it. But you're going to use that vehicle for 60 years. So you're thinking every day, any little thing you notice about it, you're servicing it immediately. You're careful with how you drive it. You're intentionally checking the water, checking the oil to keep that vehicle in a good condition. Right? So that's your body. So your journey through life is like a marathon. Time is passing and years are going by. So your ability to maintain momentum, this is one other thing I wanted to talk about. Your ability to maintain momentum is your winning edge. Your ability to maintain that gusto, that grit is your winning edge. So what do you do when you begin to feel exhausted and almost throwing the towel? When it feels like all your efforts are not really yielding results, when it feels like nothing is really coming through, what should you do? What can you do? I mean, I've been there a lot of times, a number of times, and not like I knew I wasn't going to give up. I knew there was no way backward, and that's the first thing I'll start with. Burn the bridges behind you. So then you are forced to figure out a way forward. Burn the bridges behind you. There's no going back. So even if I feel some way sometime, I feel like I'm never going to give up. See, this guy is never going to give up. No, I won't. The only way I know is forward. How do I know that? The scripture, Proverbs 4:18. The path of the just is as a shining light that shines brighter and brighter. So the only way is forward. It doesn't say brighter and dimmer and brighter again. No. I don't have up times and then I'll go down. No. It gets better going forward. So I'm never going to give up. So in moments like that, I sit down and I'm thinking, Holy Spirit, what's the way forward? What do I do? What do I need to do? What's happening? To figure out a way forward. First thing is to burn the bridges behind. If you've not done that, you easily give up. The one who has things to run back to can easily run back to them. And that's what Jesus was trying to tell the disciple who was saying, oh, let me go and bury my father first. He still had something to go back to. He's the one who says that he that must come after me must take up his cross and follow me. Deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. So that's number one, burn the bridges behind. Number two, remind yourself of why. Why did I start this in the first place? Why am I doing this? What's the essence of this? Why? Why? And it's going to be a problem if you don't have a why that is greater than yourself. What do I mean by that? You must have a motivation that is not limited to you. There's not, oh, I want to be the greatest person in this field. Oh, I want to make a name for my life and my family. I want to have this. Remove the eyes. Remove the eyes. It's not about you. Remember, I told you that yesterday. Nothing exists for itself. Nothing. Nothing exists for itself. So remove the I. Have a motivation greater than yourself. That's your why. That's your why. This is what keeps you intentional. The intention behind the action keeps you intentional. The motive behind the action motivates you. So think of the why. Think why. Why am I doing this? And if you don't have a why, you want to evaluate and think again. Why do I need to do this? If it's a worthy ideal, have a proper why. Why is this important? Number two, Run to Elizabeth. Run to Elizabeth. This seems strange, right? Elizabeth appears to be an older version of you. That is the version of you that you want to be like. So the angel of the Lord appeared to Mary and told Mary that, hey, Mary, you're going to have a child, this. And Mary is asking, how will these things be? He tells her two things. Number one, the Holy Ghost. Number one, the Holy Ghost. He will overshadow you. And the second thing he told her, he says, Elizabeth also has a child. So that gave her an encouragement. Oh, I'm not the only one who is going to have a child in a miraculous way. So she runs to Elizabeth and she's encouraged because think about it. What would you think happened? Mary is not married and she's pregnant. How is she going to feel? So she needed to be with somebody or know someone who was going through such a time as such, who was going through such a time and find strength. Find strength. And that's the thing about a marathon race. If we're running a marathon race and there's somebody else beside me, we're both running, and then now that's an encouragement. An encouragement. You know, when I was teaching you about think gym, not spa, right? And you should have a gym partner. That's what I'm talking about. So, but this is not just a partner. This talks about should I say, a gym instructor. So you can see your gym instructor has that body you want, lives that lifestyle you want, and you trust what he's telling you because he has been where you are before. Because Elizabeth at this time was 6 months pregnant at the time Mary was going to meet her, right? So number three, or number four, phone a friend. Phone a friend. Call a friend. You know what I would usually say is call Silas. That's Paul. Silas was Paul's friend. So call Silas. Talk to your friend. That is your vision partner. That person who is also being visionary. That person who shares the same visions and dreams as you do. When you get in a conversation, you get to hear, oh, this is how I handled it. I was having this issue as well, but this is what I did. Oh, this is what I did there. I did that here. And you are encouraged again. Remember, I'm not telling you how to build up your momentum, maintain that momentum. Right, maintain that momentum. And the last thing I have here is remember the 12 disciples. Remember the 12 disciples. This talks about Jesus. Jesus lived his life not for himself. There were times he would have given up. And we saw such times when he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he says, Lord, let this stay. I can't do this. Let this cup pass over me. But then he remembered again the people. He remembered his disciples. This is why he came. You know, there are some times when I feel I'm not doing it again. And then I remember the testimonies of people who have benefited. And I remind myself there is still more people who will benefit. You know, the Lord told me one thing as I close. He said one thing to me one time, that you would not know how much people you've denied of help until you see how much people you have helped. That thing touched me deeply. You would not know how much people you will deny of help until you see how much people you have helped. A popular example I usually use to explain this situation is the man Bishop David Ideko. I look at the millions and millions of people around the world whose lives have been turned around. People who have risen in greatness simply because one person chose to continue. So, and now imagine if he didn't go through that route, look at the millions of people also that will be denied help. So think about it as well. Do you really want to give up? Do you? Do you want to stop the race and just go do something else? What else would you want to do that is more worthy than this beautiful vision you've got? So if you've got a vision for your life, it would get tiring, but you're not thinking of it in a moment. It's Habakkuk that helps us understand the word of the Lord. He says, it was God who was speaking to him. He says, the vision is for an appointed time. Wait for it. It says, though it tarry, it will not delay. Wait for it. Write it down. Look at it every morning. Look at it at night. Paint a picture of it. Check through it. Talk to someone about it. Engage with it. Do not give up on your visions. Don't. You may not look like it right now. You may not. Nobody who you see who is living the life of their vision looked like it when they started. Not a single person, including Jesus. Jesus didn't look like the King of Kings when he was born in the manger. Moses didn't look like the deliverer of God's people when he was hiding as a shepherd. Not a single person. David didn't look like a warrior king, like a prophet when he was back there in the wilderness taking care of his fathership. Esther didn't look like the powerful queen when she was helping her uncle with house duties. Not a single person looks like whatever it is the Lord used them for. Even Gideon himself saw himself as inferior, and then the Lord saw him as a mighty man of valor. So do not give up on that vision. Run with it. Stay with it. Stay with it. There is something it's going to deliver. Do not think of it in the moment. Do what you can right now, keeping the image of the possibility of what it can become tomorrow. Do not stop where you are. All right. And my last counsel to you is to guard against unhealthy mental competition. You have no competitors. Your only competition is the you before and the you before and the you after. Those are your only two competitors, not the person doing the same thing as you, not the guy next door, not the other content creator. You have a life to live. Check through, where am I coming from? Where am I going to? That's your competition. So guard against unhealthy mental competitions. We're talking about marathon, not sprint, all right? So guard against unhealthy mental competition. You are here on the resource by yourself. So stop competing. Rather seek to complement, not compete. Remember, I taught you guys again, there is enough space for everyone to fly in the sky. You don't have to bring someone down for you to go up. All right. Yeah, so I think with that, we'll come to the end of today's episode on 14 days of mental repositioning. And this is day 13. If this touched you in any way, let me know in the comments. Let me know what part of it stood out to you. And let me know what you're going to do next. And please do recommend these videos to as many people as you can. It's going to help them in a small way. I remain the Rabbi, always cheering you on. I would always do that, always on the side of purpose to see that you are reconciled with God's plan for your life. Right? Tomorrow is the last day, and it's going to be icing on the cake. I'll really help you. It's going to be an icing on the cake, an amazing session that you would not regret. All right, please do well to like this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the notification bell so every time I come up you get to have heads up. All right, see you tomorrow.